Hello YouTube, it has been quite some time since I've done a video. The reason for that being that one night I was fed up with the negative effects that the internet has on people's lives and that technology has on our society, and also about the excessive time that I spend on the internet, because I do view the internet as highly beneficial, but I view it as detrimental in some key ways as well. So I just decided on a whim to close all my internet accounts. I closed my Facebook, I closed my emails, I closed my YouTube. Well, I figured, before I make the other excuses, probably the primary reason that I've reopened my YouTube account and some of my other internet accounts as well is that I'm addicted to the internet. I am an addict. I'm admitting this to you here. The internet can be more addictive than various other substances that one might be addicted to. More beneficial than most, but perhaps that's just the addict's excuse. But in any case, no. I did manage to sell my computer 6 months ago, which minimized my internet usage relatively substantially, or at least reasonably. So I figure that it has benefits for me, so I ultimately decided to reopen my YouTube account. They got rid of all my uploads. They were not able to restore those, but so you will not be able to watch my previous videos. But I will be posting now between 1 and 4 times a month, most likely, closer to once a month probably. But I don't know at this point, and I'm not going to certainly make any promises with regard to that, because I may decide to, completely stop using technology cold turkey. But for the time being, I will be posting on YouTube. Now, forgive my appearance. I just got back. I was just on a train for 3 days. I got back yesterday morning. It is currently the afternoon where I am today. I took a train. First of all, the train system in the U.S. is, if we're going to equate speed with quality, which has its own significant flaws in that mentality, but if we're going to equate it with speed with quality, the train system in the U.S. is rather awful compared to other industrialized countries. I mean, it's extremely slow. Also, they didn't have a direct route to the place I was going. I went from one location in the U.S. to another. They didn't have a very direct route, so I ended up essentially going all over the place. So yeah, I was on a train for 3 days. I had some layovers, but essentially I was on a train for 3 days. And I did that because I refused to fly. Ever since they put in the body scanners and they started molesting people, I refused to fly. Because I value my dignity over time, which is all too uncommon in this society, over convenience, over getting somewhere quickly. I value my dignity. Not to mention that I don't fundamentally mind the train ride. It is relaxing in a sense. But the sleep deprivation is a problem. It's difficult to sleep on trains when you're on one for 3 days. You don't get all that much sleep. In any case, yeah, I refused to be molested by the government, so I took a train. They still have some security at trains. They do like some random bag inspections, and they have these ubiquitous announcements at some of the stations about, watch out for suspicious activity, accurately translated to, be suspicious of your fellow citizens so we can further enslave you and take away your humanity. But in any case, yeah, they have some, I feel, unjustified security at train stations, but it's much, much better than the airports. It's a horrible thing to have to compare it to. It's better than molestation, therefore I put up with it. But, I needed to get somewhere, and I didn't fundamentally mind the train security, so I dealt with it, whereas I was completely unwilling to fly, even though the flight was about 2 hours, would have been like a few hours. So it was a few hours to fly, a few days to take the train. I opted to take the train to not be molested by the government, to maintain my dignity, valuing my dignity over time. So now to delve in, I've been honestly feeling rather despondent lately with regard to the geopolitical situation. That's not to say I've been entirely hopeless, but it is to say that, you know, you can't get enraged at everything. I've stopped getting enraged at everything, or temporarily stopped getting enraged at everything. Like, honestly, when the U.S. intervened in Libya, I didn't get enraged because, you know, what am I going to do? Like, at a certain point, it's exhausting to continually get enraged. So that's a danger, because then you turn to apathy, and then you're rendered incapable of action because you become apathetic, and I don't like that. And I find that, you know, yes, I've been despondent generally lately, but I'm regaining some of that passion, some of that anger, and you see that, I think, coming forth in this video. The despondency is shrinking away, which I'm glad about, and I'm returning to my old rant-like angry self. So you have that to look forward to. But yeah, Libya. So the U.S. illegally invades another sovereign nation. The notion that it's for humanitarian reasons. I mean, I hope that someone watching this video does think it's for humanitarian reasons, so I can knock some sense into you via this video and tell you, look at the history of United States interventions. They always claim it's for humanitarian reasons. It almost never is. Get that through your head. It's always for resources, or for hegemony, or merely for cruelty, although there's typically some other motive other than simply naked cruelty. But it's not for humanitarian reasons. What do you think they're going to say when they start bombing some people? I mean, look, there are atrocities going on all over the world. Countless people dying. We decide to invade Libya, which is one of the 12 highest oil-rich countries in the world. I did not say that eloquently, but you understand what I mean. They have oil. We want it, most likely, because we tend to want oil. So, you know, perhaps I'm oversimplifying this, but if you honestly think this is for humanitarian reasons, you need some sense knocked into you. I mean, look at the United States. Look at their history. And for those of you that are still under the illusion that Obama represents change, that we can elect a president and suddenly the U.S. is going to stop murdering people unjustly overseas, you're living in an illusory world, and you need to get your head out of the fucking sand. I cannot state that any more crassly. I mean, I'm stating it crassly, but it's apt. My crassness is justified here, because it's insanity that we accept this. How's this for despondency? No, my hopelessness seems to be drifting away on this video. I mean, I am highly cynical. I mean, you know, they just do whatever the fuck they want. They just invade countries and kill people and claim it's for humanitarian reasons. And okay. Half the people in the U.S. accept that. Half the people are at least somewhat skeptical, but no one does anything, and it proceeds apace. It proceeds apace. It's disgusting. So what else? We have Libya. 13 civilians have been murdered already in Libya. Of course, they claim that it's because Gaddafi's forces were firing at the U.S. Maybe it is. Maybe that's true. Regardless, the U.S. illegally invaded the country, and you know, I mean, you know, okay, could the ultimate impact of the U.S. intervention be positive? If they overthrow Gaddafi for the U.S.'s own interests, not for humanitarian reasons, obviously, but if they overthrow him for their own interests, and install a puppet that's much more humane, he's subservient to U.S. interests, but is substantially more humane to his people, could that be ultimately a positive thing? I suppose. I mean, you know, I'm not going to say that absolutely Libya is going to become Iraq or anything, but when they certainly have awful motives, the outcome certainly cannot be assumed it should be assumed that the outcome is most likely going to be rather bad and that a lot of innocent people will die. I mean, look at the history. Okay, so moving on. Let's get out in the streets for Libya. Let's protest the murderers in the government. For Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and now Libya, another country that they feel they need to murder kids in. What else has been in the news? Well, global austerity. I talked about Madison, Wisconsin on my other channel. I talked about WikiLeaks as well. I opened a new channel before I was able to restore this one. It's called Swirling Calamity. That is SWIRLING Calamity, CALAMITY. Feel free to check out. How many videos did I do there? 3 videos, perhaps? I did a few videos in any case on that other channel, so feel free to check those out. Now, we just saw another anti-austerity protest in the UK. They're largest since the breakout of the invasion of Iraq, which saw 1 million. This protest against the tuition cuts and the workers' cuts, etc., saw between 250,000 and 500,000 people turn out in London. I'm gonna take the cynical, realistic approach. I mean, okay, great. 500,000 people care. Okay, that's something, but look at what happened after 1 million people protesting against the Iraq War, and however many million in the United States. They went to war. Standing in the street with a sign doesn't always do a whole lot. Yes, there were about maybe a few thousand of the 500,000 to 1 million protesters that did a little more. They occupied a few department stores, I believe, threw paint bombs at some windows, various other semi-militant, I suppose you could say, actions by the Black Bloc. I don't know why I put that in quotes. By the Black Bloc and by some other less militant, but, anarchists who occupied some stores and etc. I don't know whether, we need nothing short of a massive sustained uprising for fundamental change to occur. I mean, the government has an agenda. They are going to attempt to pass the cost of their failed economic system onto the poor, whilst they spend billions to murder kids in Libya, whilst whilst CEOs turn record profits, while social stratification at the U.S. is at a 40-year high. They're going to attempt to pass the cost of the economic crisis onto the downtrodden, onto the masses, onto the plebes, onto the people at large. So, unless we resist in a fundamental sense, we're screwed. I mean, this is not the time for hope. This is the time for resistance. I mean, whether in 50 years we're going to see what we're going to see, are we going to see a tightening of the grip and a complete global tyranny, or are we going to see liberation or somewhere in between? We can't predict these things. All we can do is act. Get in the streets. That's all I'm going to say for this video. Just get in the streets in terms of yeah, it's probably maybe not the best idea to stand in the street and hold a sign saying I don't like war, and once a year. This needs to be sustained, and it needs to interrupt the economic functioning of our system and the general functioning of our system, in order to peel away the veneer from the facade of this illusory hell and and reveal that humanity is possible, that beauty